Wildcard is the team we've seen the least of so far through Stage 1, a hard concept to grasp since we're already on Day 6 and they've only played 3 games somehow. Today, they open up a doubleheader against an upstart Los, who just got their first win yesterday, making this game somehow, without even realizing it, a battle between 8th and 9th place. It's only temporary, again, because Wildcard just have not had opportunities so far to gain a whole bunch of points. They have a chance to get 6 points on the day, but Los got a really good win yesterday, so I'm curious how this one will go.
I mean, yeah, Los came in with a plan going into that game. I mean, Bursa even said it specifically. He said they know what they wanted to do. They were more than prepared. I mean, we did talk about them in that previous game that they had. They were struggling, but we didn't see those errors, and they came like a brand new team. I mean, those attacks were very aggressive. I don't think I've seen a Thermite shotgun in years.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams, I think they've both been looking a little bit better. Both of them have the opportunity to get out of the bottom place in the standings where they currently are. Obviously, you never want to be down there in the bottom 3. That's how you don't make playoffs. But they've both got enough run ahead of them still that if they can turn their season around, they can still 100% make the playoffs and eventually make the major.
Los had a 3-game skid before finally ending it against Space Station just yesterday. Wildcard opened with a 2-game skid and then went to overtime against Beast Coast on Bank a whole week ago to finally get their first couple of points. But it does mean that there's only 3 points to 2. There's 5 total combined points between everybody in the lobby, and teams like OXG have double that at this point. So they're really going to need to make sure they win this game.
Certainly, and so like that's where we need to see that getting picked back up. We can start the trend. We already saw Los start off yesterday, so I'm excited to see what we got.
Let's start with Los, because that game against Space Station sent some heads rolling and finally proved that this upstart Brazilian squad had something cooking. We said for a hot minute, Los don't look like the worst team in the league. Yesterday, they absolutely showed they're not the worst team in the league. They just need to get some more dubs at this point.
Yeah, I said it at the start of yesterday, but I'll say it again. I think this team have been really good in the early games. They've been very, very strong when it comes to finding those opening picks, making sure that they can get the round going on the right foot. The problem is they've been fumbling towards the end of the round. Getting some of those plants down has been a problem for them. Going for those executes. What we saw finally on Clubhouse yesterday versus Space Station was they were able to make that happen a little bit more consistently. Their defenses were really strong in terms of shutting that down for their opponents, using that util play really fantastically, and then on attack, making sure they finished out those rounds that they've always been starting strong. So for Los, it seems like they're starting to fix their mistakes, and they've already beaten one great team. Now they just got to beat, you know, a different team.
Legacy's already shown that he's doing really good, but Farius finally had his breakout match yesterday. How are the rookies doing?
I mean, both these guys performed extremely well yesterday, and we were harping on it yesterday. I mean, Farius specifically was holding down Blue like it was a 9-5 over there. I mean, he was winning all of these engagements, and it's so good for these rookies to be coming in. And Bursa even explained it, like having these rookies come in, that they picked them up for these reasons because they're dominant players. They're the GOATs, I believe he said. I mean, it's important that your rookies are also putting the veterans on their back specifically, and it also allows these guys to really flourish and come into their own gameplay and their own player as a whole.
So the rookies are doing really good, but the old hat on Los also had himself a phenomenal game, and it's not the first time he's done it. I think so he had the game yesterday, Sexy Cake did, with a game just before that where he was also doing really good, so he was on a 2-game streak of doing really well.
Yeah, Sexy Cake I think has been having huge impact. Sometimes it requires the stats. Both games actually Clubhouse. He was having really, really good performances. The first time, last week, we saw him doing a great job on defense, going for big roams, but the big thing for me was his ability to deny the plant so consistently against SSG, twice being able to use C-Force to shut down the math play, and then getting a double bandit trick, taking out 2 Selmas on the CC wall as well. That's 3 rounds in a row where he's keeping the wall closed. So it's massive ability to use that utility and have that impact for your teammates. Sometimes that shows up on the kill feed when you're landing those C4s. Sometimes it doesn't. In any case, Sexy Cake is seriously performing right now, and if anybody's going to try to lead Los up to that victory, up to that major position, it's going to be him.
I absolutely want to get Sexy Cake on an interview at some point to talk, again, from IGL's perspective, what this team has been accomplishing, how proud of his guys he has to be. And I think for Los, they're okay if it's a slow burn, right? 3 losses is probably no big deal if a team is coming together for the first time, right?
Absolutely, and that's the thing. You need reps. That's the only way you're going to improve. Doesn't matter how many scrims you play. Doesn't matter how many practices or dry runs you go through. You need to be playing and getting reps in.
So 7 days since Wildcard, their opponents actually had a matchup. And again, we touched on it a little bit. There was an overtime win on Bank, but that was when both teams at that stage were winless because it was a really interesting game to witness at that point. So it was also really streaky. Beast Coast won 3 rounds straight, then Wildcard would win 4, Beast Coast would win 4, then Wildcard would win a couple more. So is there anything that we can really glean from that win?
I don't want to say a ton by any means. I think more so than anything.
Say you weren't very impressed. We understand.
No, I wasn't very impressed. I think given that this roster, especially these four, and then now adding Bosco into this roster as a whole, like I want to be seeing more because we saw them towards the end of last stage on Mirage that they were one game away from making Atlanta, and it comes now you're bringing in a seasoned veteran, another former world champion that was also a world champion with Rampy. Like I want to be seeing them excel and reach those expectations that we were seeing so close on Mirage.
Yeah, Wildcard right now is a tale of two halves. There's a top-rated player, Kansan, who is one of even multiple like top 5 stats categories currently, and then Rampy's on the other side, the bottom of a couple of those categories. So it's a weird dichotomy with Wildcard right now.
You're absolutely right, Jacob. And particularly the one I want to focus on the most is attacking cost. That is how consistent these players are being on attack. Kansan, the #1 cost player on attack in the entire league.
Wow.
Rampy, bottom of the leaderboard. #1 and number last. There really is a difference when it comes to these two players' consistency on the attack. And I think Rampy has even had some great moments on attack. I think you go back to even to the very first play day, Rampy was looking like a really strong player coming through from Wildcard, but unfortunately, that's just not been consistent enough. On defense, we've seen many of those problems as well. I know, of course, we had the bank game from Wildcard last week, and while Kansan was able to pop off, hit crazy numbers, we just weren't seeing that from Rampy. His Maestro play in the basement having very little impact. Sometimes his attacks also very little impact. So I'm hoping we can see that get picked up a little bit more. Bank has always been the home of Kansan Yankari, so maybe not the craziest that he would be popping off on this map, but it's got to be a whole team effort.
Absolutely, and Kansan, I mean, dropping the 24 kills that he dropped, I mean, that's truly impressive, but as impressive that it is, it still comes down to the team. To be losing that game, dropping 24 kills, that puts it on everyone else's shoulders of, okay, we really need to step up, because that's not to say that Kansan is going to drop another 24 kills and push it to a match point and possibly win or lose that again. That does come down to everyone, and there is more than enough firepower on that team where they can all be firing on cylinders and all supporting each other and being on each other's back.
Here's the thing, we also can't have Kansan just play bank every map where he seemingly gets totally supercharged. Instead, it's an Oregon pick, and we've seen both teams already give this a try with varying degrees of, can we even call it success? It's been a wild ride from both.
Yeah, I think both teams, when they played this previously, really struggled on their attacks. They couldn't really get anything going. Los, that was their first game of the season, don't forget, against Oxygen, and they actually did really good attacking the basement. That was the one bomb site they seemed to have a really good
Oxygen are horrible at basement, though, so I don't want to say, and that's been like a historic
You're right,
thing. That's
you're
not
right.
me just going at Oxygen. Oxygen as a whole has been horrible at basement.
But Los also, I think, had good attacks.
Absolutely.
Had particularly good ideas on that attack. They fundamentally knew what they wanted to do on that bomb site. So, I mean, we heard it from the interview just yesterday from Los. They know that first game of theirs, they did not play very well. I'm really excited to see if they can turn that around. And Wildcard, as you've said, Jacob, we haven't seen them play in a full week at this point.
Yep.
So they've had lots of time to work on things, and we'll finally get to see how that work has really done for them.
Are we confident enough in that Los victory over Space Station that because they can beat a team like that, they can beat anybody? Or is Space Station just kind of looking shaky overall this week? Do we like Los more than we like Wildcard? That's the big question. Jesse, what do you think?
At the start of the stage, I was a big believer in Wildcard. I actually hot take picked them to make the major, but I think I made the wrong call before the season started. I think Los are the better team right now, and I think I got to go for them.
Should have had another tweet that we could pull up at that moment.
All right.
Like, what's going on?
Well,
Lax?
What's this?
I think I'm going to have to get back to 50%, so I'm going to go Wildcard.
Oh, so you're the odd man.
I'm going to go with Wildcard.
Fox has decided that game was good enough for him to pick it. Jesse's saying, yep, that game was good enough for me to pick it. You still have faith.
Do you know why I'm picking Wildcard to begin with?
Because the other two guys picked Los.
Because there's already a W right there. So.
This is the first time
and Los already has an L. Los already has an L.
Ooh. I'm strategizing right now. 45% doesn't seem like I'm being very strategic, but in this pick, I'm being strategic.
Totally fair. Let's figure out whether the logos have already determined the outcome of this matchup or if Los are about to turn that W from yesterday into 2 for today. It's Lokes and Stokes with the call. Links and Stokes. Lokes and Stokes? I can't English. Have fun, gentlemen. Go get them.
Well, you know what, Jacob? We'll see if Wildcard are a W team or not, or if Los are an L team. We'll see what ends up happening, Sam. But me personally, if you want my hot take, I think it's www.jover.com for Wildcard in this game. I think the firepower Los have put on display, specifically in their SSG game yesterday, I just don't think Wildcard will be able to hold the candle.
It's only going to get better with time. The thing about this Los team is that they've come collectively under this banner in just like the last 6 months. So, and quite a few of them actually coming under this banner in the last 60 days. So For Los, this is just going to be something that continues to get better and better for them as they work through these games that they've already played. And at least today, up against Wildcard, especially on a map like Oregon, I think that Los is going to have it up against WG. But we'll just have to see. Obviously, a W, as what was said on the analyst desk, already in Wildcard's name. So we'll see if they'll be taking that here on Oregon.
Starting on the attacking side, as they mentioned, and Sam, that was one of the first games, not only that we casted of this stage, but also, as Jesse brought up, it was Los's first game of the stage. An exceptionally weird one, because not only did they win basement every single time on attack, they also, I think, won it almost every single time on defense. But it still bodes well for this game that if you can win basement attack twice, even if it's in some weird ways, or against a team that, as Gabe said, maybe has a very checkered history with the basement bomb site, it still looks very good if you can win an attack on one of the primary bomb sites on this map, and maybe even get a win on dorms if Los are gelling a bit better together than they did in that day one game against a team like Wildcard, who struggled to put attacks together despite having some of the most veteran players in the whole scene. But I'll finish yapping. The operator bans are all finished, and to be honest, I'm really liking that Flores ban that we saw from Wildcard.
Yeah, you know, Flores, this is probably, arguably, one of his best maps in the game to bring him on, as there's usually so many deployable shields, so many rolls of barbed wire, just a lot of things that he can deal with, including Kiva barriers. So something that is definitely going to be sorely missed from Los for right now. So probably a really good ban there from Wildcard, very well thought out. But speaking of Wildcard and something that the analyst desk ended up touching on, Kansan has looked fantastic. This entire stage so far. Kind of a second coming for him, as we did see him have quite a bright moment on that Sonics roster too, but it's been very nice to see him back, not only in the kill feed, but in the good graces of playing positive.
I mean, he's been the standout player on this roster, even last stage when they were under a different org. Kansan has been the guy on this team, and when he was dropped from the Sonics, I think a lot of people were really bummed by it because of a lot of the highlight moments he's had on that team. Some of the great success he individually and with that core had on the Sonics. And when they saw Kansan leave, it was a bit of a sad moment, especially because his next roster might not be able to live up to the strength that he has. And in this particular case, 24 kills for the very close game against Beast Coast. It's not great for Wildcard so far, but as we get into it, it is a basement site to start. And I saw the blitz flirted with by Los to start, and not only is there a blitz, we're running double shields for Los.
Honestly love it. This is something that Sexy Cake has always had in his back pocket. He was a big support player back in the day when he was on Liquid. And ever since his move to E1, he's just had this aggressive new look to him. And it's been great. I mean, you and I were touching on it inside the green room. There's something about his ability to find these opening frags, but I think that also something that kind of is a callback to his earlier Liquid days is that he can still accomplish things like this. He can be that extra player on his shield, or, you know, find that flexibility that the team's really looking for, and I love that for him. So we'll see if Los continues to try and build on that throughout the game, but definitely something to keep your eye on. Is he going to keep on this Monty? He's going to go over to something more aggressive? We'll just have to see.
I'm just really curious what they're going to do in this round with the Blitz and the Monty. I mean, normally we see the Blitz on a basement site, maybe rush up elbow, stop anybody from reinforcing that wall, and just create space and bunker. When we see a Monty, it might be to push down Freezer or backside as well. Just push down either of those two staircases, not so much the front side, but both. Is it going to be a heavy, maybe back Freezer take? Do they want to send the Blitz down front side to create space laundry? We see the Monty Freezer, and with burst over by the laundry position, it seems that the execute will be front side, and we'll have one shield going down Freezer, another one moving down the laundry stairs. Lifeline goes out to create an opening maybe for that Monty to move through, but the Kiva barricades right now stalling out this Los assault.
Yeah, really difficult for them, especially for Spiker's position here. He's got some ADSs to try and assist. Kansan has a nice angle from the Freezer hallway too. And Los, they don't have time on these smokes. They still have Capitao to try and weed out a few players, whether it be through firebolts or smokes via that utility. We'll just have to see, but Wildcard have not overswung just yet. It's the beauty of the scenario for them. Los have to try and find some space for this case, and it is in Burst's hands, so Sexy Cake more than likely here just as a distracting factor. Look for him to try and slide this pistol out at a moment's notice. He'll try and melee down the player here in Freezer, but he's completely bullied away. Vertical with 2 huge kills, and this might be the round going WC, and it looks to be that way, as it is a sea of orange kills. It's now down to Rise, and he'll get gunned down by Kansan. Wildcard simply stands stalwart in the site, using their utility every step of the way to try and get in the way of Los, and it works out extremely well.
Works out very well, and as we talked about before, Los had a very puzzling record on Basement, able to basically win it on... It was the only site they won in that OXG game. They lost 7-4. 4 rounds they won Basement, 2 on the attack, 2 on the defense. But a lot of it looked similar to how that round just happened against Wildcard. The big difference was that they won it instead of losing it. But still, low time, 5v5, flooding in. And while I've criticized Los so far in this league for going for those styles of play, aside from that OXG game, it has been very close losses or very close victories, to be fair. But that's remained a consistent theme and something that, sure, sometimes if you lose a gunfight, or maybe 2, or maybe 3, or maybe 4 in that particular round, the execute won't go your way and you're constantly gambling. Los have shown an ability to win them out surprisingly often. So while I do think it's good for Wildcard to pick up the Basement win early on, and also for Wildcard's chances to fend off that playstyle from Los, it's something we're likely going to see consistently from this team on the attack, but also something we might see them still get away with on a bomb site like Norms.
Yeah, I really didn't hate what they were going for there. I feel like maybe some things may have been misplaced when it came to certain positions for certain operators. You know, like having Blitz have the case there just feels like, you know, maybe you have Blitz on that back, you know, construction push just on a solo kind of, you know, cloak and dagger play. But either way, Los with that more one-dimensional take of the laundry area just doesn't really work out for them. Now into round 2 we go. Wildcard, newfound look, gonna try and extend things up to the skies, at least initially. That's where we saw Rampy position was T3. It's giving them an inkling of him being in that area. Instead, he's already fallen him back to the bottom of the stairwell. Just try and get a headway on these drones.
Starting to deny some intel for Los. 4 drones taken away with. Rise going for the horizontal Gara hook into the green hallway. Sexy Cake's able to find the initial pick. That sets it off as player dropped inside of the site. Well, not inside of the site, sorry. I saw everything get kicked off and I was super excited. Because you see Rise go for that Gara hook. The player dies and... Well, I mean, that's kitchen control, I guess, Sam, in a very flashy and decisive fashion, but still the overall defense for Los to clear. You still have Spiker behind this trophy shield. You still have the rest of the players inside of the site. So I do like that bit of control established for Los, and if they want to go for a big window white take later on, that's also nice, but the rest of the control, the rest of the map, not really going their way yet.
I mean, the good news is they at least have that pick, and they've done it in a pretty solid time, so should be able to at least try and find a solution to this positioning. This one, MyDisc's not going to accomplish too much, and Spiker, not only that, he'll flirt with the angle yet again and gets taken down by Sexy Cake on a pretty creative upside down rappel out of that DMR. Now Los with 2 big picks in a whole minute to try and work this top floor bomb site.
And Rise is now rotated over to the big window, so if you want to move for that take up white stairs and through the window, you have the control to do it. You have the 5v3. All they really have to worry about, especially because they got downstairs control early on, is making sure you don't have anybody contesting that big window. But instead, Rise is actually rotated over, and instead they flooded in from trophy and white stairs. First pick in that execute goes Wildcard's way, but the advantage so solid for Los, and Rampy, in a cruel twist of fate, choked off from that flank by his teammate's toxic canister. And a flashbang will push him back even further. Farius close on the door with the skeleton key. Both parties put to 1 HP, but Farius, the better in that particular engagement. Los with their first attack to boot.
And you could say that again, because Farius, at least for me, he's been one of the most impressive players on Los for me, time and time again when we watch this roster. Big kills, big moments for him throughout a multitude of games this stage, and just somebody to definitely, hang your hat on for a Los fan, and as well as the Los roster, somebody they definitely look to for those bigger moments. But inside of that last round, some solid effort all around by both respective squads. I really like what we see out of Wildcard to try and deliver on a couple of different fronts there, but just end up getting swatted down. And I think it's mostly due to the fact that Los are able to make a pretty concerted effort on that top floor, especially given the fact that they're able to get those 2 big kills. They can kind of centralize their efforts and force their way in through a lot of these main openings that Wildcard have left to be exploited.
Getting that 5v3, and then obviously able to coordinate and power through into dorms just to not only deny space around the site, but then further inside of the site to really constrain the efforts from Los. You also got to give credit to the flexibility we saw. We saw the Amaru initially positioned by Big Window, then rotates to go to dorms, and in a span of 15 seconds, Los have not shifted their entire push, but made it a bit more strong, a bit more centralized around Trophy and Bedroom instead of spread over the whole site. And then, of course, converting that advantage they built earlier. Really strong attack on dorms, and now as Wildcard flex onto the meeting, Los could go up 2-1 here.
Yeah, you really got to feel for Rampy in that last round in particular.
Yeah,
it's good to mention that. It's like, he tried his best to get ahead of Los on a couple of different fronts there, right? And he just cannot find them. They're constantly in different areas that he exactly can't deal with, and ends up meeting his fate at the top of White. And doesn't really have the opportunity to play back through on any other manner. So, Los now, we had a tie ball game in between these two, and a pretty fast acting round to boot here for round 3. A flying in Amaru will get gunned down by Kansan as he looks for more instead of dorms.
And it doesn't seem that Los will be able to find much of anything. Vertical and Rampy cutting down.
The round.
Yeah, Vertical and Rampy cutting down 2 more players, trying to flood into dorms. Sexy Cake, the 4th, second to last out. Bursa can't even get an exit. And it's a flawless round with, sure, maybe a minute in, but the entire round really only encapsulating about 15 seconds.
Yo, Wildcard's got the jerseys and the hoodies on now, man. It's over. They're official.
They are, they are kitted out.
They're looking dang good right now as well here on Oregon. I don't even think that that was necessarily a bad strategy to start off for Los, right? It was just Wildcard finally being able to get ahead of that initial volley of gunfights and angles being adopted by Los, and practically every single one of them going their way. Obviously, Los does kind of, donate things on a silver platter, at least initially with that Amaru swing, but just because things were more aggressive doesn't mean that Wildcard didn't put in a valiant effort.
They held the positions they needed to. They reacted to the Amaru in time. I also think if you want to criticize Los a little bit, we didn't really see either in time with the push or at all anybody maybe going through the attic window to try to deal with that player pit. So we had 3 different players in either dorms or by the big window, and we saw a push from Trophy. We saw the Lion and the Ace, but with Akiba in their way and also basically pushing through the same doorway, they also can't really deal with the players playing in pit or playing in attic, so Kansan has a spot to completely shut down the Amaru that, whether he predicted it or not, he's still able to do so successfully because Los lacked some dimensions that could have made it a little easier. But they still got a very strong win on dorms, and moving back down to basement, we certainly know they can make this site work, even if it is very, very little going their way.
They can make do. And Los not feeling as confident in the shield strategy as they were previously. This time around, Bursa will be the one on the Monty. I feel like we might see a similar certain end to this, but just with different operators. Bursa more than likely is trying to lean things over towards that laundry plant position again, and just be that Los has more guns this time around. Maybe potentially a player to work down Big Tower or construction. We'll just have to see. At least for the initial portions of this round, though, folks, it's more than likely going to be a decent amount of boredom as they'll look to try and get these hatches open and just try and keep Wildcard at bay around the stairwells.
So a minute in, Los already down to 5 drones. Obviously, the tally is a bit weird. Sexy Cake still has 2 of his shock drones, so technically 7. You've also got all those swarm grenades, which can give great intel. So if Los are a bit reckless with their drone economy, of course we could have some problems, but Los still have plenty of sources to intel, even if that counter in the top left is a little bit deceiving at the moment. At the moment, like Sam pointed out, it's going to be a lot of boredom. It'll be Los opening up all of these hatches to give them plenty of options to try and rotate their execute if need be. Could go down the backside, could go down freezer laundry. I will say, without that blitz and without any real focus around bunker right now, I'm guessing it'll be a front side push again, maybe trying to push Bursa through the freezer wall and get the diffuser down. But like I said, a minute 20 seconds left. Still, there's time for Los to rotate if need be.
Yeah, a great read so far from Los. A lot of information going their way, but Wildcard has been able to keep themselves alive and make Los have to deal with the situation at very low time. It's looking very similar to what we saw before. Let's listen in with Wildcard and see what they have going on.
He did just pre-fire that angle, Evan. He knows about it.
Laundry. 2 drones laundry. 1 more drone laundry. Their last cam is laundry. We can play the flank T1. They have no cams.
Okay.
They have the Monty freeze again. Let's flank T1 if we can, guys.
Yeah,
yeah, this guy's outside blue. This guy's outside blue.
Like, me? No one laundry, bro.
I'm up T1.
Yeah, they're pushing through freeze. They want to push freeze.
Yeah,
Monty freeze off.
Monty freeze.
T1, coming down the stairs, T1.
That guy's solo.
Is he already down?
He's on the
Oh,
plat.
there.
On the plat.
I got him. Don't worry about him.
Two freeze. Grimmin,
I killed one freeze.
So,
I can call you
Monty here.
Drop
He's
E-box.
E-box, iconic right now.
Yeah,
Inside,
swinging me,
inside.
swinging me.
Alone.
One blue, one through blue.
He's on me. One's right on me.
One
He's
elbow, one elbow. Elbow, I think, Evan.
Heard.
I can call you
Elbow
E-box.
Nice! Let's go, boys. Let's go.
go.
Holy shit.
Honestly, my reaction that round too, because everything starts devolving into chaos, Sam. But you got to really give credit to some of the calls Spiker's making there. Obviously, he calls out there's only one drone front side, and initially he was correct, at least from our perspective. You could get a flank off through T1 because it was a very heavy freezer push. But then another very late rotation by Los, but almost gets that round over the line. We see two players drop down E-box and move down back tower stairs, and while they didn't end up winning the round, it is good to see from Los that they are making those rotations, Sam, because that's a big change from their very linear push last time.
Yeah, I also love just the beauty of the comms there, right? It really showcased how utterly cataclysmic things can get near the tail end of a Rainbow Six, siege round. Things can get just utterly catastrophic. Things are going everywhere, comms are going everywhere, and you really need things to be clear, cut, and concise, right? And that's what these teams have going on. It's beauty inside of that chaos. And I especially love the confidence that we hear from, I believe, Rampy on that backside player with the tower position. You know, he's like, listen, I've got it. Don't even worry about it. Like, I've got this position locked down. You guys just need to make sure you're focusing on what's going on the front side of site. And it worked out really well for Wildcard. They had a really good, really solid read of the situation, especially identifying that there's nobody really working in from Laundry. It's just Freezer, Big Tower, and Construction that they have to try and worry about. And they're able to kind of coordinate things, very, very well in the dying moments of that one.
So a strong defense on basement, especially with Rampy holding down that backside, able to let the defense focus on the front. Maybe we'll see something similar on Dorms, because once Los pushed in through the White Stairs and Trophy, that pressure, Wildcard were not able to fend it off in that previous Dorms defense. It's the only round Los have so far. Also the only defense, obviously, Wildcard have dropped. It also is off the back of an opening pick downstairs in Kitchen. Kansan, I believe, found there, or at least the player playing in that same position found out. Los focusing the front side at the moment, trying to take down those bandit batteries, but if Wildcard can maintain that man equilibrium, not drop an opening pick or, God forbid, a 5v3, they'll be in a very strong spot. But Bosco, unfortunate mess up on that C4. He's still holding down the bedroom wall, though.
Yeah, Nitro probably wasn't going to do too much to the player on the roof anyways, so he'll be able to keep that and hopefully reapply it sometime later in the round to its fullest effect. Drone will pour in from that game's window that they'll seal up with one of these Kiba barriers. Sexy Cake is thinking about impacting it, but he'll shoot it instead for his teammate that is now going to try and repel for it. Los have already expended about halfway of the round. Spiker's going to be the first one with a big pick, and that's going to go on to Bursa, who's been pretty consistent in staying alive in the opening round.
Hasn't been feeding a lot of opening deaths, but when you do see that hard breach go down, and I believe still had, he had 2 Selmas in his pocket, right in the middle of throwing it when he died. What a risky position. How much did he accomplish? What was he able to do? But also for Los, you're able to get the opening pick inside a Kitchen a minute into the round last time. And now, well, Kansan's getting really aggressive. A double jump out on the big window player between Kansan and Vertical. Love that coordination on the defense. Bit of an aggressive look we don't often see from Wildcard, but a play that really needed to be made and a play that will basically put Los out of this. Sexy Cake gets one. The Amaru goes in. Spiker actually not aware of it, but the damage is minimal. It's contained to Dorms, contained to that window, because Rise is now trapped. Wildcard have been able to win the gunfights elsewhere, even drop the diffuser inside a Trophy. Rise might pick up one. Hold up. He's flicked onto the second. He doesn't have diffuser. Where the hell is Rampy, and how is he going to fend this off? He's downstairs right now, coming up White, and Rise has recovered the diffuser. Spots him on White stairs too. It's still the Amaru. Worse for HP. Rampy cannot deny this from below unless there's intel given him inside of the site. He melees the barbed, walks up silently. Rise doesn't hear until the very last second, but as he swings, he prones at the worst time. Rise with a beautifully mechanically gifted clutch to get Los a key second victory on attack.
Oh. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a timeout after that. I know Wildcard has a decent lead right now, but Rise getting away with practical murder on this moment right here. They take out Farias. It's down to Rise in a 1 versus 3. They have solid positioning around the Dorms area. But look at this, Wildcard, they play things so slowly. Nobody's holding an angle, and it lets Rise work all the way up into their portion of the bomb site and get 2 huge kills on an ISO'd swing, something that you would never expect to happen in a moment like that.
It's really a shame too, because I literally 20 seconds prior had just got done praising Wildcard for denying space, not letting that big window player get comfortable, making a very aggressive play that we don't often associate with this team to not only make it a 5v3, but just to make it so they don't have to worry about the big window player, or they can listen and see if somebody rotates over, and that can then influence, all right, if there's somebody big window, that means there's 2 players, probably Trophy or White Stairs or somewhere else. It allows them to focus the other positions if somebody retakes that angle because they removed the very player holding it. But then to see them be so passive in that and Los get a second round on attack, it doesn't need to be clean, because Wildcard have been struggling on attack this whole stage. Outside of Bank Sam, 1 round going into that game against Beast Coast, and now because of that win, Wildcard looking a lot weaker at the side swap.
It's going to be hard fought. We knew that coming in, especially from the scrappy games that we've seen from Los especially. That's these last handful of days. Previous Playdate Wildcard, not having to do too much as it was their bye day. Now today, back into the saddle once again. So far, they've at least gotten that 1 round over the top of Los. As Carter was just touching on it, it's not looked too hot to trot past that. Wildcard going to try and dip and dash away from that position over on the shower side. This is going to be a kitchen meeting setup. And this Los will be looking to try and consider what's going on around these other portions of the bomb site. These outer lines. We had that Legion as well as a player upstairs. Wildcard with a couple of different looks that Los have to consider, at least for them, pretty one-dimensional right now, as they do have a player, at least one, on the far side for Big Tower.
You have 1 extended far out. Oh, well, extending outside of the door.
What?
Wow. How has Rampy been traded there? That the shot through time, I guess, from Bursa has somehow found Rampy on the trade. Still a good 4v4. That Melusi utility is down. All right. A lot of weird stuff happening in the first half of this round. But more importantly, Twitch obviously taken off the board. SexyCake, a very solid player for Los. Perhaps most importantly, I mentioned earlier how those shock drones could potentially give more intel and make the drone count deceiving. Well, there's only 2 drones left for Los, and their control around the map is not looking strong. Hansen has found another for Wildcard, has made the 4v3, and with one of their only remaining drones, they found Vertical's position, but he gets away safely in pit. Spiker might fall, but Wildcard are maintaining this advantage so strongly. Kansan good for 3 in round 6. He even goes for the 4th with a Deagle. 4-piece for Kansan, one of the highest rated players in North America. Gets a 4-2 half for Wildcard.
And has been on an absolute tear ever since coming off that Sonics roster, and just letting that talent show once again inside a Trophy is more than likely the call being, hey guys, I've got it. Swings him with the Deagle and finds him inside of Master. Los giving up a lot of early pressure there with those kills going the way of Wildcard, and Wildcard have not missed in a lot of these scenarios so far. And it has to be said on top of that as well, Rampy having a heck of a game for WC too.
Yeah, love that aggression. Again, Wildcard showing in isolated moments that they aren't just, playing the site, aren't just playing passive. We know they can roam, obviously, but at least the reputation this team has is one of slow anchor play on the defense. They're able to get a 4-2 half with some of those more aggressive moments. But the defenses haven't been the problem with this team. It's not the main criticism we have of Wildcard. The main criticism, the main problem they've had is their attacks. As I mentioned, outside of that Beast Coast game, which was an 8-7 barn burner, 24 kills from Kansan. In the other 2 games they've played, they only had 1 round on the attack, and on Oregon against OXG, couldn't even find 1 round on the attacking side. This is where we need to see the improvement from WC, is on this side to make sure they don't lose this 4-2 lead.
Well, looking across what they brought the last time on their offensive side up against Oxygen, just the mainstays, just the key operators that they played. We did have Monty in for Kansan, so might be a key component there, as we did have one of the top performers for WC off of a mainstay gun. On top of that, though, they didn't really have any other like real pressure points you could look at inside the op list and be like, oh, this could be a big issue. They had their hard breach there, doubled down, and you know, some cases tripled down, depending on the secondary hard breach that they were carrying. So, you know, for Wildcard, just more about retooling the positioning and seeing how they want to go about clearing things. And so far, they've at least shifted Kansan on over to Ash. I don't know if we exactly saw that in that previous, you know, game on their offense, but we'll have to see if it's going to be something that benefits them, as they don't have him on a shield, at least for this one.
With the performance he's had, and alongside Vertical, a very well-respected entry in his own right inside of North America. One helming the R4C ACOG, the other with Finka LMG. Couple different metas, couple different time periods. Making their name inside of round 7 with Wildcard's lineup. At least in terms of what they're actually doing, a lot of standard. Opening up the freezer hatch, opening up the meeting hatch. Zoto canister actually going out a little late, so doesn't stop the hard breaching. Fortunate, Los will end up losing one, but that's why Sexy Cake has 3. How are Wildcard going to take this? Obviously, the Azami is something they'd have to worry about. Oh, wait. Los aren't running it, despite the Flores being banned, and how strong we've seen those Kibas can be on the bottom floor. So a lot of the execute utility Wildcard has to use won't be impeded by the Kibas maybe stalling out a drop-down E-box.
Yeah, they've went for a couple different things. They have a decent amount of redundancy when it comes to delay. You got the Goyos, you got the smoke canisters. They also have the capabilities to freeze as well. And what was this wild swing into E-box? It gets one. It's immediately traded back. Another kill boils over from Fraser Hall. And so far, so very good for Los, as they've gotten a whole swath of kills. But Wildcard now gunning back. Bosco gets one of his own. Farias has been down. It's a 2 versus 2.
He's still got one swarm canister left over, too. There's not a lot of time to reset. Rise even still has 2 toxic canisters, but Los are just not denying this space. They don't want to let Wildcard get comfortable. But Bosco's confirmed. It's now a 2v2, but Rise, 20 seconds of denial in his pocket, and we've just crested over that period. But he smokes off the long haul. That allows Spiker to push in, allows him to pre-fire through the bunker wall, and puts Sexy Cake inside a Laundry in a 1v2. Spiker can cut this off. The C4 might go out. He'll only back up. He knows it can't really land in time. It even goes wide. A good throw from Sexy Cake, but it misses his mark. It misses his man. He misses the shots, too. Wildcard, a beautiful recovery with one of the best attacks we've seen the whole stage.
I mean, it was a bloodbath. Let's get it straight, especially with that swing onto E-box. But Wildcard, they contest. And not only that, but that last second adjustment from Bosco, working his way over into construction, truly impressive. Let's jump in with Los and see what they have in this timeout.
Entendeu? Não é pra ser herói não, mano. Vamos fazer a porra do nosso jogo, cara. Lembra? A porra do nosso jogo. Vamos subir kids, vamos fazer a adaptação da congelada que a gente fez com o Farias lá embaixo de Solis, tá? E aí a gente vai jogar, mano, incomodando. Sempre incomodando os caras. O tempo vai ser nosso, tá entendendo? O tempo vai ser nosso, incomodando. Não trocando tiro besta. É incomodando os caras. Pô, finge que você tá ali, começa a dar pressão nos mapas, tá ligado? Deixa as pontas nossas e vamos recuando, tá ligado? Entenderam, guys?
Beleza.
Vambora, guys. Atenção.
Mano,
Eu quero
jogo aí,
guys.
Bora.
Eu não quero ninguém herói. É todo mundo junto, mas o mapa é nosso, tá entendendo? O tempo é nosso. Vamos lá, guys. Vamos lá.
Quer que eu jogue de smoke ou de flash no primeiro round?
Não.
Obviously, Sam and I don't speak Portuguese, so we can't fully tell you what went on there. But what I will say, at least on the timing of that tactical timeout, I think very well called by Los, because Wildcard, who did not manage a single win on the attack on this map against OXG, being able to go up 5-2, even if it was a 2v3, well, technically 2v2 the whole time, but once Bosco confirmed it, a 2v2, even if it was a close round on the attack, it's still a win on basement in a game that could be decided by just who wins 3 attacks instead of 2. Los need to hit the pause button there, or understandable that they hit the pause button. Now they move up to Dorm Sam.
Things just not going well for them, especially in the area that we usually see them thrive, right? This kill department. They're able to build things up and knock down the last remaining towers they really need to. No, well, for Los so far has not really worked out. Haven't been capable of playing Jenga, and the kill feed as well as the stats, just really showcasing that his Rise is the only one that's positive for them at the current moment. So looking to try and get back into the green. And I also got to expose you and I here, Lynx, is you and I both not supporting our North American players here. Instead, both of us choosing Los for this matchup. And they're letting it show.
I mean, listen, one of the reasons why I felt confident that Los could win out these defenses against Wildcard's attacks was actually from what we saw in that round, even though Los ended up losing it. Their ability in these small moments, not in wide map control, but in moments where the attack is going for the execute, to deny control, to deny space. Bursa, swinging E-Box. Who the hell does that in North America? Nobody really. But Bursa knows they're going for an E-Box drop, makes that swing. Wildcard now uncomfortable. He goes 1 for 1. Good pick. Another great example, retaking Bunker. Rise on that smoke. Obviously, that's a bit more common of a play, but it's still indicative that Los want to make sure that the attack is uncomfortable when they're getting set up for that execute or when they're going for it. They'll push up a hallway. They'll retake an angle. They are always confident and never reluctant, never hesitant in those moments. However, it sometimes comes with the dark side. Various decides to go for the run out, try to take down a player, spotting him with that Specchio scanner on the drone, and he finds nothing for it.
It's just such a huge risk, and one that Legacy is going to have to respect as he peels off, reinforces the other side of Attic, and tries to work his way back to site. Spiker knew that somebody might be crossing in that area. Fortunately enough for him, though, won't deal any damage to the actual resident. As now things are open over on the big tower side. Wildcard, though, have a concerted effort over towards big window as well as white stairs. Still looks to be Spiker trying to assault the Attic, at least for now.
A couple shots go Spiker's way. On the back side, he does have those swarm grenades to make sure that if anybody's playing pit, he's got intel when he actually pushes up that hallway, because once you're past that pallets, once you start moving up in Attic, you kind of have to commit. It's a bit hard to fall off if that pit position is not cleared. So a good player to do it with the 5v4. Wildcard might be in a bit better of a position, especially with Rampy cutting off the Dorm's rotate, applying pressure below. As they send it on in through big window, they'll have to push through the smokes, but the kills are barely even a problem for Wildcard. 4v2, 4v1 established. Very quiet lead established as those kills kind of happen, and Los don't really fight back, don't mount much of an effort. Sexy Cake might have found a little bit of a gap, but no, Vertical waiting on white stairs. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't crazy, but I talked about how the last round was the strongest attack we've seen from Wildcard. That might just take the cake.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. I like everything that we saw. You know, they get that initial kill on Nefarious with a great read. They're trying to set things up over on that big tower side, at least initially, just so they can get some attic pressure going, right? And they set up that attic pressure. And once things start to boil down, they start to understand that that big window take looks more and more appetizing. It looks like they can potentially get a plant down on that reinforced corner, you know, inside of the bomb site. And that's exactly what they go for. The biggest, you know, motion there for me on Wildcard's side there was Spiker's ability to not only go and get that attic pressure open for them, but also readjust over to the big window. So they had that beautiful crossfire for that attic position. They also had that skeleton key down low. Just make it so complex to try and stay alive inside of Dorms, Carter. I mean, you can't practically breathe. They're just snuffing out every position.
And something we have to talk about as well for Wildcard. Sure, they're still playing a very execute-oriented, plant-focused Siege. That has not changed. But the time at which they're going for these attacks, it's only been 2, but it has been a remarkable change of pace from Wildcard, a breath of fresh air. Even with those smoke canisters not stalling out, just pushing on in because they're confident in the angles they've established, the control they've gained, still confident to make that play without waiting for 30, 20 seconds left. And it's paying dividends. 2 rounds in a row in Oregon attack, match point established. We were so focused on an ascendant Los. Wildcard have taken the time in the week with the bye yesterday as well for their first game of the day to get one of the best results we've seen potentially in the NAL, period.
Especially for them, and especially for Rampy. I think that's the key thing right now for Wildcard across the board. Isn't necessarily Rampy having a good day. It's the team being able to coordinate and have all of these players actively having their moment. Exactly. They've finally found some things to mesh on and some areas where these other players can use that, you know, personality of theirs, their abilities to try and fill in these areas. And it's working out so very well. You can see that comfort factor really starting to come into play, especially for Vertical. I mean, how at home is this guy with an LMG clearing things out on the top floor with a drone in front of him?
And just taking a 1v1. I mean, normally, you know, I might say, oh, you know, we didn't have anybody big tower side, maybe going for the cutoff. But Vertical's so confident in it. As you said, he just goes for the 1v1. The Legion rotates back, decides to play passive, or decides to just rotate back to try to bait time, as many people would do in that same position. And he free fires through the wall, has the intel on him, gets the kill, job done. Wildcard 5v4. Taking advantage of the aggression Los like to bring and punishing them for it. They might be able to deny space on this site, right? Versa, he can get aggressive E-box. The smoke, Rise can retake elbow, but now in a 5v4, if that play doesn't work, and if you even go 1-for-1, that could be the round.
Most definitely. WC, they've got the man advantage now. A beautiful moment for them. Moments away from getting into this execute as they've got everything going their way, utility included. Aids in hand, Bs in hands too. So start launching those in. The smoke's trying to keep them back for now. Bosco, a huge bout of damage, pours over into him, and Los looking like they're going to be able to take this round right off the initial volley. And yeah, not a single kill going the way of the offense. What a beautiful moment there for Los.
That's how those Los rounds, I will say, typically go more often. If they are able to maintain their positions, if they aren't pressured substantially, they are just so strong on winning those fights when they're presented with them. It can be difficult to really mount anything. And unfortunately, I don't know if Bosco's ahead of the play, if the smoke caught him off guard, but as you saw, he drops down in the E-box right as that smoke canister goes off, and the rest of the attack, obviously, they don't want to follow up. They don't want to drop immediately into a toxic canister. They've done it a couple times now, I will say, but in that particular moment, you don't want to take half your health and damage on an E-box drop when you have to drop down the hatch, have to eat that damage if you drop down into the smoke. Nobody wants to do that. It's a perfectly understandable call to make, but it does mean that Bosco's ahead, you lose that advantage, it's a 4v4, and now Los feel a bit more comfortable to get aggressive as they like to do. Farius wants to take the fight with the players, pushing either through E-box or down the backside. Same with Legacy, also getting a couple kills in that execute. A bit more of a standard Los round, able to take down a push that went awry for Wildcard. But they still have a 6-3 lead. Wildcard still have 3 rounds on the attack to close this out. And while they have struggled on the attack this stage, and it is entirely possible this could be a game of 4-2 defensive halves on Oregon, but going to dining and kitchen, Sam, this could be it.
Especially with Sexy Cake, he's going to play small office off these Kiba barriers. And I'll be the first one to point it out. There's not a Jaeger. There's not a Wamai. These are 2 of the mainstay operators that you would see if you're going to try and hold down this position, because a lot of throwables can mess things up for you, truthfully. But you look over at the offensive side for Wildcard. Yeah, they have a crap load of stuns, but only 2 frag grenades, and past that, not really any utility that's going to give them a whole lot of problems when it comes to that position. So this might be something that works out very positively for Los at the end of the day.
Even if Wildcard don't want to clear it, if they try to hold big window, that could prove to be an issue, but problems already cropping up for Wildcard's attack. Hansen, with a couple well-played shots from Rise, falls on that buck. So if you wanted to get vertical control and open up some angles into Kitchen, you better hope that Los open up a lot of them for you, because most of that soft destruction is now gone for Wildcard. Rempy found his way in a nice position in meeting. Frost flirts with the engagement, but instead the shots baited out from Rampy, just confirm his position in meeting, and now he can't make that play. They have holes watching from Kitchen, so Rampy's got to back off. Could have been the 4v4 right there, but Los Jiggle Peak get the info, back off, and Wildcard are forced to retreat.
They have the entirety of the top floor under their control now, but Los are more than understanding of this, and they're going to oblige. Move off to greener pastures around the space and try and hold the site more horizontally than actually playing physically on it. So look to see if these lines of sight try and assist them. Things like security, things like the rotation for meeting, as well as the kitchen hall, all going to come into the fullest of effect here. Lasers downrange, but more than likely just off the gun of Ramp Dog here. They haven't tried to make too much headway on this base levels. They did have to try and make a concerted effort on that top floor to make sure all of their heavy lifting is able to find some merit. And so far, so good. Stuns out. They have a player over near Z, but I don't think he's going to try and step up to the plate. It looks like this is mostly going to try and boil over via split. And what a moment there for Rampy. He'll be able to at least take out Sexy Cake, but it's traded by Rise.
It's traded by Rise, and Wildcard just hoping Low start giving away picks. They spot the Frost, but again, it eludes Rampy. 2 times Rise has peaked. And 2 times Rampy's failed to get the kill. Spiker's got it. He's got the 3v3. Bosco going in for the plant. They can cut off the push-up Z, but can Rise get an angle from inside of security? Yes, he can. The one spot, Spiker covering, can't see the Frost on the long angle. And it's just compounded in his mind, the failure of coverage as Rise gets a 4th 2. With a Frost mat in pocket, by the way. Not really mattering, but then again, 2 players go for the Bearing Legacy. You just have to not troll. You just have to not throw it away. Nice flashy play by Spiker, but it's impactless. Los get another round.
Man, oh man. Wildcard, a literal fraction of a second away from getting that case down, and that's a completely different round. You know, I think the key thing there was, like we were talking about in the mid-round there, Carter, those angles working their way in from the horizontal positions. Let's hop in with Wildcard here and see what they've got to say during their timeout.
Because it's something that we've not seen just yet, which will be perfectly fine for us, but expect the kids, expect an adaptation for what we did last time around, okay? So let's start cooking now.
So what are we thinking? Like, do we want to do, we could do the West Tower, or do we want to just do the Master like what we do
Master? We're gonna get face stuffed by Clash.
I feel like we're gonna get stuffed on the Master side.
I'm down to do West Big Tower again.
Let's just see what they give us. Let's just see what they give us. They're gonna give us West most likely, so let's just see after we get West. Like, if Master's free, we could probably just take it, but...
Yes, the biggest thing with these guys, right, is to take your time on the drone and double up on your picks, okay? Be careful soloing stuff. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be good, okay?
Yeah. Heard that, Ruby.
And you can see, I think, a very smart call there as Los do, I will say, when they run that Clash, they do tend to put her over towards the Master side, and that makes pushing into that side a little difficult. But Rampy at the end there says, let's see what they give us. Let's see what they give us. And there's no Clash in this lineup, Sam. So if they were really concerned about a strong Master hold with that Clash, won't be a factor as much. There is still a deployable shield, so Legacy could end up holding it on that side, maybe with some Los defenders to help him out. But I'm curious, will Wildcard go for that West take? Will they try to power through the big window? Or will we see them just kind of play patiently in the first minute and see what Los have opened up like Rampy?
Yeah. I love that entire timeout through and through. The things that were talked about, the adaptations that they were looking into, sort of the play that they should be going for. I think Meepy provided quite a lot there. Not only that, but the adaptations also being discussed there for Wildcard too. Okay, if they bring the Clash, we're worried about getting stuff. Well, maybe they do just give us the West side. Maybe we can, you know, try and keep an open mind and look at things inside of the mid-round and call that audible. It's a lot of really, really good ideas swimming around for Wildcard. So excited to see what they can do with potentially their last round here on Oregon, especially after the timeout. Feels like it's their moment.
It does. And again, also, I was riding off the high of the 6-2. It felt like they had the momentum to maybe close it out. Going to Kitchen Dining. Felt like on the off-site, they might have the momentum to close it out. And it's starting to slip. It's not unwinnable, obviously. They just need to win one attack. But I imagine similarly for the team, they likely felt very strong, so powerful after going up 6-2 on a side you've struggled with this whole stage. But now that momentum, that confidence is starting to wane. They've taken the time out to try to bring it back. And what are Los giving them? How can Wildcard regain that confidence? Well, they found a Solus inside of security. We saw on that previous basement attack, the one that Wildcard lost, to be fair, but still one where they found an isolated player. Vertical was able to get in, get the pick, get out. They found a Solus in a similar spot. Can they make that magic happen here?
And silence in the server. Own play in for Wildcard as they do not want to miss their mark. And this position for Farius is already a known quantity. More likely might have a drone down low, but no, he's going to drone through again and once again discover his location. So force the Solus's hand as he's going to go for a rotation back up Freezer, but this is usually a played out motion as well. He's going to find quite a few drones, not even having to use his scanner in order to do so, and he'll be headed back down into the basement, but at least still be able to maintain his life. Los trying to defend things on this top floor. Vertical the moment there, but neither party striking true.
Now, neither party finding anything with the Omai. Oh, gets over aggressive, and Kansan's able to cut him off. gone unread on the bedroom balcony, despite Sexy Cake still holding trophy. That's a huge find for Wildcard. Not only that pick, but Vertical a bit more comfortable on the white stairs now. Spiker waiting for the flank up Big Tower. The Solus strikes, but Spiker, the worse for wear after that engagement, goes for the retake, goes for the vault, but I think overcooks it a little bit. He knows he's facing the pressure, but as he falls in Legacy, good for 2. It's still a 3v3 with Sexy Cake down. But Vertical domes Kansan. Is that the round gone? Vertical has to cover, but the smoke grenade, it's on the opposite side of the bunk. They can get the diffuser off successfully, and now force rotations out of Los. It's still a potential 4v2. If the defense can revive Sexy Cake, impact from below, Asperia is so out of position, can't deny the diffuser. It's why Wildcard made the call in the first place, and Vertical's vaulted out everyone from the attack outside of the building. So as Rampy moves down below, Los will start to move in, start to tap that diffuser. They've got an angle right on it. They'll fire the skeleton key shot, move them across. Gone 6 even to destroy the Kiva. All the bases covered for Wildcard, but are they good on the time? Going for the retake. Vertical spots 1. Sexy Cake going. He falls off at a key moment, and with the concussions, that's the game. That's the 7-4 for Wildcard. That's the attacking half we needed to see if this team stands a chance in North America.
They counted them out, Carter. They said, Wildcard, they're a bunch of old heads. I don't know if they're going to be able to compete with some of these younger guns in North America. And today, they came to play. And not only that, they played things out in every sense of the term, down to the gunplay, the strategy, as well as just those clutch moments like what we just saw from Vertical. Wildcard had it in spades. What a day for them, especially as they have a pretty dominant game up against a very solid Brazilian squad.
Yeah, for a team that has been struggling on the attack so far, I'm focusing on the 3 attacks they won instead of the 2 they lost. It's Oregon, after all. We don't expect a team to be flawless. And if it is, that's usually the exception to the rule. But Sam, when they were winning, they looked so good on that attacking side.
Oh, absolutely. I was impressed on all fronts. I'm very happy that Rampy finally had a good day for this stage as well. I've been feeling for the guy a lot, as he's usually that name that you're like, oh man, he's gonna pop off, but this really has not been happening up until this Oregon game. And then obviously Kansan, just with so many moments that'll make your head spin.
Ever consistent Kansan, Rampy having a good day, and Wildcard, their first regulation win of the stage. Their first strong performance of the stage. And we have the desk to break it down right after this.
Looks like Wildcard used that week away from playing any NAL matchups to their advantage, not just in the way they played Oregon, but the fact that Oregon was allowed through the ban phase in the first place, considering what we saw Los play, how they played it earlier on the stage, considering what we saw Wildcard do earlier. It was kind of an unknown what this Oregon was going to have in store for us. It turned out they had that thing dialed in from the very beginning. That should have been a 5-1. This game should have been over way sooner. Wildcard let Los through just a little bit, but it wasn't enough for them to lose today.
I mean, that last round specifically, I mean, Vert was going on a rampage. Vert didn't know who to fight at that point. Like, they get the bomb plant down, Rampy's hiding for his life, and then Vert blows the floor underneath him. Rampy somehow makes it out that big window. I mean, ultimately, Vert ends up clutching that round and playing it beautifully, but that was pretty hilarious to watch towards the end of that round. But nonetheless, I mean, they secured a solid 3 points.
We just didn't know what the hell was happening.
I know. Dude. Vert, I've seen Vert in those situations, and he's a scary man when he doesn't know friend to foe.
Suddenly it turns into a 4v6.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it got the job done, right? Absolutely. And I think when you're going up against Los, they had the perfect answers, right? Wildcard knew exactly what to look for. We saw a lot of those swings coming through. They were trying to get aggressive a lot on the defense, but it was always being shut down by Wildcard. Super ready for that. And yeah, that final round for the big post plan as well. Great work from both the team, from both players in that 2v4.
Had it not been for Rise in this game, it wouldn't have been nearly as close. It was that Amaru 1v3 clutch that Rampy had the opportunity to stall, and it didn't quite work out. It was Rise with that 4K when they shifted sides and didn't allow Bosco to plan in kitchen. He had himself a really good game, but it wasn't enough to pull Los out of the dumpster on this one.
I mean, I'll even say this. I even just like the basement round, specifically in those listen-ins. Like hearing Spiker give those call-outs of telling everyone how they need to play this position, where they need to be holding, where these pushes are coming through. Like, I genuinely love these listen-ins because it really gives you the in-depth of what's going on in a round outside of just watching what's happening. And even the casters highlighted that Spiker was giving those call-outs.
Yeah, I think that for Los, you know, there were some bright spots in that game. Ultimately, I think just on defense, they had some interesting ideas. I saw the double small tower roam coming through when they were trying to defend onto Dining. It didn't end up being impactful because that's not where the push came from Wildcard. But I think there were a lot of moments in that second half where Los were maybe just not making the right call, trying, going a little bit too experimental with certain positionings and with certain swings that they were wanting to take. And obviously that final round as well. Felt like Los should have been able to lock it down. I felt like this game could have gone a lot longer than it did. But ultimately, I mean, we ended where we did.
To give Los a little bit of credit, there was something they did when they played Oxygen earlier on that it wasn't something that I think it wasn't countered nearly as well as it should have been. Rampy had one very specific spot that he likes to play, and when he played it earlier on Oregon, it went pretty well. But when he did it against Los earlier today, it seemed like Los at least understood what that specific play was meant to be about.
Right, so last time when we saw them, Rampy, he loved to play below against Oxygen when he was roaming on this top floor bomb site. This time, however, Rampy was really not being able to have too much impact. He did get a kill in this round 2. He got a C4 kill onto Sexy Cake, but the fact that he's in a 1v4 now, he's really not able to have impact until all of his teammates are dead. Round 5 was the exact same situation where, yeah, technically the team's done pretty well, but Rampy has yet to find any impact on the kills. Rise able to clean up the 2 site players, and Rampy is nowhere to be found. And the big thing for me, again, is Rampy played the exact same position, that is down on the bottom floor, in this match on the Dorm's defense as he did against Oxygen. So Los were able to completely go through the VOD review and were able to both find Rampy and Kansan and either lock them down, lock them out of the bomb site to make sure they couldn't have that late round impact that they were able to have maybe in previous games, or hunt them down and take out Kansan particularly so that he didn't, again, have that same impact.
Which I think there's give and take to both of those situations. Obviously, they read into what Rampy was doing. They were able to ignore it, but then even going into those basements where we saw those double shields come into play, the problem with I see with double shields going into that, you're losing that sense of gunplay. So once you take another person out of that gun advantage, you just keep dwindling it down. And then again, it gives you that false sense of confidence. Is you played against Oxygen that was horrible on basement, and then you look at how Wildcard played basement, it immediately countered what Los was trying to do or what they were trying to adapt and move around with. So it's a double-edged sword. Is like you have great success on one map going against a team because they didn't play it properly, so then you think that's going to kind of be the same similarity going into the next game, and it's not. And Wildcard displayed that beautifully in how to properly play basement.
So everything Wildcard was doing, even if strategically it maybe didn't make as much sense, for the most part, it still absolutely worked out. Yes. Who was the guy who was spearheading it on this team? Again, can we take guesses about who their best performer was? His name starts with a K. It's Kamikaze. Wait, that's the wrong team. It was Kansan. He had himself another double kill game in this one, or double-digit kill. And, dude, it's like he can't be stopped. It doesn't matter what the map is at this point.
And to be honest, I really never see Kansan underperform. Even when he was on Sonics, it shocked everyone when Kansan got replaced to begin with, because it was like, wow, like he was your flank watcher, he was your support, like he was setting you guys up for success, and then he got replaced, and he's still performing at a very high level. I'm dropping 24 kills the other day, and now carrying it here, getting tons of, well, 2 multi-kills. It looked like it was a lot of multi-kills when you were seeing him on the board, but Kansan is a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I actually think the fact that it's only 2 multi-kills kind of speaks to Kansan's biggest strength. He is consistent. Every single round, he's getting at least 1 kill. The fact that he's not getting like only a couple rounds where he's hitting 4Ks or 5Ks, maybe like somebody like Rise does sometimes, every single round, Kansan is there having impact. He's showing up, he's getting his one, he's getting his trade, whatever it might be. He's always making sure he's having an impact for the team. So I really like the way that Kansan's been a rock for Wildcard, and he just continues on with that.
And even Rampy specifically, we were talking about, he isn't performing where we want to be seeing him, even back to his old days back on SSG when he was performing extremely well. So it's good to see him back on the board performing and being up in there in the leaderboards right behind the dominant Kansan that we know.
Kansan just seems to be the definition of, in your ranked games, make sure you at least get the 1 kill. Win your ones, and then everything works out. But let's get Bosco on the horn real quick. Dude, it's been a long time since you've been in the league, and we haven't had the chance to talk, but welcome back, dude. It's always good to see you. How's it been working with Meepy and this band of misfits over the past couple months?
It's been great, honestly. I think that the team honestly reminds me a lot of SSG when I was on it. It's a very similar vibe. All the guys are really close. We hang out all the time, game all the time. It's a really good vibe being on this team. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, Bosco, coming through to this game, it feels like, obviously, it's taken Wildcard a little bit to get going, you know, but this felt like you guys really hitting your stride. It didn't have to go all the way to overtime like you did against Beast Coast, and you actually walked away with the W, which was great to see from you guys. What do you think the biggest thing that you guys have improved on has been from the last week now coming into this game?
This week we just focused a lot on just taking more initiative, you know, seeing plays and not trying to coordinate like a perfect execute between us, but just going for things and trusting in teammates and what they see and trusting in the calls. I think that's something we were just lacking. We were trying to do things too perfect, and you know, it's just not the name of the game anymore. The meta doesn't really allow for that. So yeah, just taking more initiative, being more aggressive, and I think it really worked out for us this week.
Nice. Well, I got the most important question of all, Bosco. Is what's it like being back? I mean, you were gone for so long. You had that solid break. I mean, what did that do for you mentally and now just being back in this atmosphere?
I mean, the break was very good for me. I think it was like just over a full year. It was like a very much needed mental reset. And I wasn't really sure when I took the break if I was going to play again. I kind of hinted at it being like dependent on the team. Yeah. But when Rampy came to me, you know, he came to me multiple times throughout the year too, trying to get me involved, and I always turned him down.
Jeez, you're playing hard to get.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure, you know, and then
for sure
came a point later in the year, and I was playing the game a lot just on my own time, and I was enjoying it a lot, and I was like, you know what, maybe I do still have some left in the tank. So
I mean,
I took the opportunity to come back. Yeah,
you definitely have some left in the tank. I mean, everyone was speculating how good are you going to be, and then we saw your first game back, and you were absolutely ripping off heads like you never even took a break to begin with.
Thank you.
One question just specific to the matchup. It was Oregon, and I think in the back we had a conversation about, was that really the smart play, I think, for either team? Los has already played it. You already played it. You both had various struggles on that map in particular. Was that one of the specific points you wanted to clean up over the past week? Why was Oregon the play in this specific game?
I mean, Oregon's one of those maps where it's like, even if you have info on someone, it's a very default map, and I don't think you can change a whole lot with like the way you do attacks. You can't get like crazy cute with executes because it's just that kind of a default map. And we just knew what to expect from them, from VODs. We knew they were going to be playing a lot of power ups, a lot of shields, and we were just really ready for it. And we had no problem challenging them on that map.
Fair play. Well, you got that game against Space Station you're going to have to worry about in a couple of hours, Bosco. Thanks a lot for taking the time. We'll see you in a few.
All right, thank you.
That game against Space Station is going to be a good one, especially because Wildcard got the dub, Space Station got the L, and I think most everybody had those positions reversed. I mean, not laxing. You had Wildcard from the start. You knew exactly what was going to happen here.
I saw the W, and I mean, the W came.
The W versus the L on Los. You read into it.
I did.
You saw it in the logo.
It was a deep dive. Was it similar to you grabbing that solo cup?
I see.
We're stretching the definition of what logic in reality actually is on the desk, which is yeah, you know what? It might have been that. The L in Los stands for luck, and they had none of it in that matchup, which is just unfortunate. But they'll be back next week. We'll figure it out then. Beast Coast and Dark Zero is coming up next. It's our game 3. One of them got a really good win yesterday, and the other one's kind of... We'll get to that game after the break.
Hi guys, it's Nathan DZ, and this is Drone in the Unknown. It's easy. Cafe Train.
Cafe Train. Looking at like the fireplace from inside a train.
This one's Cafe and Train.
This is Cafe, Train rotation.
This is Train on Cafe.
This should be Chalet. It's either in Solar upstairs or it's in Trophy. I don't know. I just know that's where it's at though, but I don't know.
Chalet kind of by like the master closet, maybe?
Deer. It's on Chalet in Trophy, I believe.
I'm gonna guess it's Trophy downstairs.
Trophy, I would assume.
Chalet, somewhere where the owl is, like somewhere Solar. Is that right?
This is Chalet Solarium.
Oh, it's that one. Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh no, it's in the solar room. Dang.
I'm smashing these.
Judging by the top left, it looks like Cafe. And I think... Wait. No. The bricks on the bottom right make it bank, I think. This could be Cafe, though.
If I were to guess, I think this is Cafe. Or actually, no. This could be bank, too, now that I think about it, because there's bricks.
Okay, I'm gonna guess Cafe. I don't know, Christmas?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to guess it's bank. The painting should be... I actually don't know where I'm bank, but I think it's bank.
This one's definitely gonna be bank. I see the little gold at top. Bank, third floor.
This looks like bank. Marble stairs.
This is it bank top main stairs? It's not top main stairs. It's bank, but it's not top main stairs.
Okay, this painting. This is bank. Loan office is my guess. Oh, it is. Nice. Nice.
Oh, I know it. It's loan office and bank. It's that big portrait on the wall. Nah, let's go. Let's go.
I'm never there. How would I know?
I never go in there, so I would have. God.
Never been in there that much.